Hey guys, Steve Welch here. So I just want to throw something out there, right? Do I have any insight on this? No. Could there be something coming? God, I'd love if this was the answer, right? Just because so many of you guys like this. So part of this new bill, and I'm trying to learn more about it because obviously it's going to affect everybody, but there's a lot in this new bill that just got signed about the auto industry. So the emission standards, I was actually looking at it to do a video on CAFE standards, and I actually have some information on it. So like current CAFE standards, they're wanting, like, right, I guess for like 2026, the goal was to be just over 49 miles per gallon, right? And then that was supposed to switch to, was it 54 or 52, but something like that within like the next 2 or 3 years. And they were like, well, that's got to be your CAFE standard, your corporate average fuel economy. What is CAFE? That's what it is, right? And keep in mind, your state could set something different, but I'm talking about the federal part right now because that's what that bill affected. Well, kind of, it's like what, almost 1,000 pages, right? So nobody really is, I don't think anybody's like 100% sure of everything's in it, but let's just talk about what I'm hearing about this and what it could do. So a lot of what manufacturers have been doing is going to hybrid, right? Going to turbos. I'm in a Tundra right now. It's a twin turbo and a hybrid, right? Because why? Because the previous version of this truck got, realistically 10, 12, 14,000 miles, depending on how you set it up, what tires you put on it, stuff like that, right? But the current one, it gets up to about 21, 22 miles per gallon combined, right? So you're trying to get this miles per gallon up. So what ends up happening is you're trying to hit 49 miles per gallon, or you would get fined. And what was the fine? A lot of people don't even realize what the fine was. So for every 0.1 miles per gallon that you were over on your average, right? Every 0.1, you would have to pay $15 per vehicle to, I think it was the EPA, right? So if you looked at something like my truck here, you would have something around a $3,000 or $4,000 fine for every vehicle that was produced. And here's the thing, let's make no mistake about it, the person that paid that is the person that paid that is the person that ended up buying the vehicle, right? Because it was just an added cost that went into the vehicle, and obviously that was something that they were going to pass along to the end user, right? The person that bought the car. So what apparently has happened is that they've taken the teeth out of the CAFE standards. And what I mean by that is that, from what I understand, they're saying that they haven't moved the numbers. They didn't move the goalpost, and let's stop here real quick before I get into that. So did anybody hit 49 miles per gallon as an average? No, nobody really hit that number. So what you do is you pay carbon offsets, you'd pay fines, you'd whatever you could do, you'd end up paying something, and you just basically take the fine, because like Toyota's best vehicle that's not an electric is the Prius, right? The Prius will get you, and I'm taking plug-ins out of that too, plug-in hybrids, but the just regular gas engine, the Prius will get you, gas hybrid of course, but the Prius will get you 57 miles per gallon, and that was the best that anybody could do. So you take a 57 mile per gallon Prius and then a truck, and you go, all right, well, that equals about, maybe close, not really, a little less. So take something like a RAV4, right? Well, RAV4 was hitting 40 miles per gallon. So you take that Prius that's getting 57, that RAV4 that's getting 40 in the hybrid, and you mash them together for your fuel economy. And okay, so the Prius canceled out the RAV4. Well, Prius doesn't sell near the volume that the RAV4 does, so you're still not there, right? So it's just, regardless, you can't hit the numbers. The technology's not there. If Toyota could have hit the numbers, they would have hit the numbers, because people buy Toyotas because they want better fuel economy. That being said, that's a lot of times, right? They want a lot of fuel economy. They want reliability. They want the overall power that Toyota can give you. They want all that stuff. So the question that I've got now is, if you take all the teeth away, and pretty much what they're saying is that you should be able to, and this is the thought process behind that bill, and I'm not getting into political discussion. I'm not trying to get into political discussion, so don't throw in the comments what you think about the bill. That's not the point. The bill is what the bill is, so the bill is there. So now we just have to adapt to what the new rules are. So that's really where this video's come from. But it throws the question out there because so many people get down into like some of my Tundra videos and they say, bring back the V8. Bring back the V8. I want the V8 back. So could Toyota feasibly bring back the V8? And the answer is yes. If there is no negative, because here's the thing, if you go 10 miles per gallon, you're talking about a fine in the $10,000 mark for producing a Tundra, for just because the miles per gallon couldn't get to where it could make any sense. So if you can get it to where you are willing to have a vehicle that gets 10 or 12 miles per gallon, you're willing to pay the fuel, you're willing to do all the stuff that comes into having that vehicle where you're pumping through that much gas. But there's some people go, well, I don't want the turbos. I don't want to worry about a turbo. I don't want to worry about a hybrid. I don't want to worry about and I've heard all the arguments, right? Keep in mind, Toyota doesn't better than anybody. That's my opinion, but I'm right. But, but there are people out there that are leery about the extra pieces on the vehicles, the turbos, the pressures, what about hybrid batteries? What about hybrid components? What about all this stuff what is wrong with bringing back the old V8, the 5.7 liter bulletproof V8? I mean, if there's no fine for it, I would not be shocked to see Toyota do it in some ways, right? They obviously have the engine. How hard would it be to mock it back up and put a new Pro or a Tundra V8 or like a Splash edition, something? I mean, just a V8 Max, or there could be a way to do this that Toyota could do it. So let's throw out the other big thing in the room. So the last of the 4 liters just went away, right? So the 4Runner had a 4-liter engine for over a decade, right? That engine's one of the most bulletproof engines that Toyota, along with the 3.5, along with the 5.7, that 4.0 is one of the most bulletproof engines that Toyota's ever produced. And I brought up the 3.5. The 3.5 was actually a very reliable engine as well, just because that thing was in the Highlander, is in your Camry V6. All the stuff that had a V6, your Tacoma had that. The only thing that didn't have it really was your 4Runner, right? And your Tacoma had the 4-liter before it went to the 3.5 for a little better fuel economy. So could they bring back the 4-liter? Why not? Could they bring back the 3.5? Why not? I would be willing to bet Toyota didn't destroy their ability to make those engines, because they still have to make the engines as replacement parts. They're not that far out of production. They just changed the Tundra in 22. So they're not that far out of production. Hell, the 4Runner just changed in 25. I guarantee you they still have every means of making the 4-liter. The 3.5 liter, you had 20, was it 21 or 22? It was 22. It was the first year it went into the Highlander. But the Tacoma just changed in 24. And the Tacoma had the 3.5 liter there. The Tacoma should have been the last one that had the 3.5. So realistically speaking, that one's not that far out of production. I guarantee you they still have the means to produce it. The question is, will they put them in the cars? And I think it'll all come down to whether or not they think you'll buy it. So if they think that you'll buy that vehicle and with the V8 engine. So basically, like I said, I'm in a new Tundra here. I'm in a 25 Tundra. If this one had the V8, now don't get me wrong, I like the fact that I get a little bit better miles, but I bought the hybrid for the extra power. right? And it's not because I'm towing a bunch. I bought it because I wanted the extra ability to put on the gas and just fly. Now, does the non-hybrid not do that? No, non-hybrid's got plenty of power, but I wanted more, right? And that's the attitude that a lot of people that are asking for the V8s had. Say, look, if I'm willing to, to put gas in a 38-gallon fuel tank and have that 38-gallon fuel tank last me for 400 miles, if I'm willing to do that, why should I not be able to do that? And that's the argument that a lot of people are making, right? And I'm not trying to get on one side or the other. I don't do that on this channel, but I'm trying to let you know where the argument is. So people are, there's some people that don't like the fact that the Highlanders have a 4-cylinder turbo now, and they want that naturally aspirated V6 back. Okay, same thing with the Tacoma. They want the naturally aspirated V6 back. Okay, same thing with the 4Runner. So, my answer is not changing here. Could they do it? Yeah. Do they have the means to? Yeah. Would it bolt up and the computers, whatever? I'm sure that there's some engineering challenges to it, right? So maybe the bolts aren't in the same spot. Maybe you'd have to redo a computer system or something like that. That's a body style change. That's the same stuff they do anyway. Toyota spends $1 million an hour on research and development. Do we really think they hadn't figured that out? I would say probably not. They probably have, right? They've probably done that. So could the V8, the V6 come back? Yeah. Would I like to see that? Well, yeah, because now here's the thing. So would I buy a 5.7 V8 in the Tundra? I'll tell you no. Why? Because I didn't do it before. I could have done it before. I didn't. And it was because I drive a lot of miles. I'll put 30,000 miles on my truck in a year. So realistically, just that fuel burn would be too much for me. But that's my choice, right? So I bought the Tundra now because, hey, I can get almost 20 miles a gallon, even driving the way that I drive. All right, I'm okay with the 20, right? But there's some people that are just, hey man, I want the power. I want to be able to pull a 24-foot trailer that's got a car in it that's loaded to the max, 14,000 pounds, and I want to be able to just pull that thing like a beast. Okay, you need the bigger truck, you need a bigger engine, you need more power, you need the hybrid version to get to 12,000. But what if they did a max with the 5.7? So basically meaning that you added the hybrid drive system to a 5.7 non-turbo. You can do that. Because the hybrid system, it's a parallel hybrid system. It's a separate motor that's put in between the transmission and the engine. Why could they not add the hybrid drive motor to the 5.7, get it a little bit extra fuel economy and a lot more power, an extra 40-50 horses, depending on how it would rate out? But why would they not be able to do that? That's, like I said, I'm just having a conversation about it, right? Do I have any inside information? No. Toyota told me, hey, no. Toyota didn't tell me any of that. I'm not trying to say that they are. I'm not saying I have anything that's, anything other than a hunch that Toyota goes where the market is. They've done that for a while. I've said before, a lot of people ask me, well, how do you always know what's coming up if Toyota's not telling you? Because Toyota keeps a lot of stuff secret, I'll tell you that. But there's a lot of stuff that I kind of figure out. And it's the one reason. Toyota's predictable, right? Toyota's not going to do something that's going to, number one, hurt their brand. They're not going to do something that they haven't researched the market on. They're not going to do something that customers won't at least end up being very happy with. Like I said, the 5.7 went away in the Tundra. People were mad. People were clamoring to get the last of the 5.7s in 21. I've been around for a decade with Toyota, and I can tell you, yeah, that people were going crazy for those. The last of the Tacomas, same thing. The Highlanders, before they switched over to the 4 cylinders, you couldn't keep them on the lot. And I know part of that was, the inventory shortages, but part of it wasn't. there were plenty of people that probably would have waited to buy if they didn't know that they were switching to the 4-cylinder turbo. There's some people don't care. I'll get in the car, I'll drive it, I'll keep it 3 years, get to the next car, and I'll lease it, I'll whatever. As long as I'm under warranty, I really don't care what it is. Get me from point A to point B, do it safely, and you know what? I talk to those people too, right? Now here's the thing: Toyota is one of the most environmentally friendly brands out there. I mean, they developed, okay, Honda came out with the hybrid first, slightly, right? Toyota had the technology. They held on to it for another year to perfect it, right? And that's why when you think hybrid, you think Toyota. Toyota would rather be right than first. And they've done that for a lot of years. So when you're talking about the Eco, the being able to do the Prius, putting a hybrid, and as of 2025, Toyota's got a hybrid or electrified version of every car that they produce, right? Every car they produce, they have a hybrid version of. Now, is it something where you get 50 miles a gallon? No, I mean, like I said, my Tundra here, it's a hybrid version that it built for power, not for efficiency. Don't get me wrong. But as a hybrid goes, they've got a hybrid version of everything. Sequoia, all hybrid, right? Your Tacomas, you got an iForce Max version. It's a Tacoma hybrid, right? Could you put the 3.5? Man, imagine that. A 3.5 liter hybrid Tacoma. So use the old engine, max it out with the hybrid, and I think there's a market for it. I mean, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but would there be a market for it if there's a hybrid Tacoma with the 3.6? I've had people begging for that SEMA edition. There's a blue Tacoma that they were talking about putting the same V6 that's in this truck, that the 3.4 liter V6 into the Tacoma, and being like a surf edition or the, I think that was called the surf edition, but putting that into that truck, dude, that would be a beast. That would be crazy to do that. That would be awesome. So yeah, so what do you guys think? So will Toyota bring back the 3.5 liter, the 4.0 liter, and the 5.7 V8? Now there was a 4.6 liter V8 too that was around in the Tundra a few years ago as well. Not as sought after as the 5.7, so I would not probably believe that one would come back. But would Toyota bring back the 3.5, the 4.0, and the 5.7, at least as an option? I'd love to see it. I'm not sure how practical it is, but I would definitely love to see it. So here's a question to you guys. Put it in the comments. If they had a Tundra or a Highlander or whatever, and it went back to the previous engine prior to the turbos, would you be more likely to buy that vehicle? Or does it even matter to you? And why? Put that in there too. You want Tundra because you're pulling a boat or something like that? We'll put that in there. But hey, you guys tell me what you think. Steve Welch here, just throwing something out there to think about, because things have changed a little bit. So you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.